When I pulled onto my street that Friday night and saw my driveway buried under a wall of cars I didn't recognize, I didn't scream. I didn't honk. I sat in my truck, engine idling, and I smiled. Because here's the thing about blocking a tow truck driver's driveway: you've already lost. You just don't know it yet. In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you about the night a neighbor's teen party tried to turn my property into overflow parking, how a crowd of kids thought blocking my driveway. It was hilarious. How they laughed in my face when I asked them to move, and how I responded with the most professional, perfectly legal cleanup they never saw coming. This isn't a story about losing my temper. It's not about screaming matches or vandalism or petty revenge that backfires. This is about what happens when someone who knows the rules decides to enforce them. If you've ever dealt with entitled neighbors, boundary violations, or that specific fury of being trapped outside your own home while someone tells you it's not a big deal, this one's for you. Because by the end of this night, 10 tow trucks were going to roll down my quiet suburban street. Police lights were going to flash, and every single car blocking my driveway was going to disappear. One by one, let me tell you how it happened. My name's Dana. I'm 34 years old, and I've been driving a tow truck for almost a decade. Started out working for a big roadside assistance company. Did my time on overnight shifts pulling stranded motorists out of ditches, and eventually moved into private property, impounds, and repo work. It's not glamorous, but I'm good at it. And after years of dealing with every kind of vehicle situation you can imagine, angry owners, icy roads, cars balanced on curbs in ways that defy physics, I've learned to stay calm. Calm is the job. You don't survive in towing by escalating. You survive by following procedure, documenting everything, and letting the rules do the talking. I live in a quiet cul-de-sac in a suburban neighborhood about 20 minutes outside the city. Nice area. Mostly families, a few retirees, some young professionals. The kind of street where people wave when they drive by and nobody locks their cars in their own driveways. I bought my house 4 years ago specifically because it had a wide driveway and enough space to park my personal truck, plus my work rig when I'm on call. That driveway isn't just convenient, it's essential. When dispatch calls at 2 a.m, I need to be able to roll out in minutes. My neighbors know what I do. Most of them think it's interesting. A few of the older folks have even flagged me down to ask questions about jump starts or flat tires. We get along fine. Well, most of us get along fine. 3 houses down from me live the Morrisons. Parents are Mark and Linda. Nice enough people on the surface. Wave hello, keep their lawn decent, that sort of thing. But they have a 17-year-old son named Tyler who, to put it politely, has never been told no in his life. You know the type: expensive car for his birthday, 0 consequences for anything. The kind of kid who parks across 2 spots at the grocery store because he doesn't want door dings on his Mustang. I'd had minor issues with Tyler before: loud music, trash in my yard after he and his friends walked by. But nothing worth confronting. I figured he'd grow out of it. I figured wrong. That Friday night, I was coming home from an 8-hour shift. It was around 9:30, and I was tired. Not exhausted, but that kind of worn-down tired where you just want to pull into your driveway, microwave something, and collapse on the couch. But as I turned onto my street, I knew immediately something was wrong. There were cars everywhere, and I don't mean a few extra vehicles parked along the curb. I mean everywhere, both sides of the street, bumper to bumper. Cars pulled halfway onto lawns. A white SUV literally angled across the entrance to my driveway, with a red sedan wedged in behind it. My driveway was completely inaccessible. I slowed to a crawl, scanning for any gap, any angle I could use to at least get close to my property. Nothing. It was a wall of metal, and the source of all this chaos was immediately obvious. The Morrison house was lit up like a concert venue. Music thumping so loud I could feel the bass through my closed windows. And spilling out of the front door and across the lawn were dozens of teenagers, red cups in hand, laughing, shouting, completely oblivious to anything beyond their little party bubble. I parked my truck in the street, the only option I had, and walked toward the crowd. My plan was simple: find whoever was in charge, politely explain that my driveway was blocked, and ask them to have the cars move reasonable, neighborly, the kind of thing adults do. I spotted Tyler on the front porch surrounded by a group of his friends. He saw me coming and his expression shifted into something I recognized immediately. Amusement. The specific kind of amusement that comes from feeling untouchable. Hey, I said, keeping my voice even. I live 3 houses down. My driveway's completely blocked. I need those cars moved so I can get in. Tyler took a slow sip from his cup. His friends were watching, grinning. Yeah, that's not really my problem, he said. Excuse me. I didn't park there, he shrugged. Talk to whoever owns the cars. I don't know who owns the cars, I said, still calm. That's why I'm talking to you. It's your party. You invited these people. One of his friends, a girl with blonde hair and an oversized designer jacket. Maybe just park somewhere else tonight. It's not like it's forever. I looked at her, then back at Tyler. I work early tomorrow. I need access to my driveway. This isn't a request. Tyler's smile didn't waver. If anything, it got wider. Lady, it's a party. Just go around or something. Go around to my own driveway, on my own street, where I pay property taxes, where I've lived for 4 years. I felt something click in my brain. Not anger, or not just anger. Recognition. This wasn't a miscommunication. This wasn't a bunch of kids who didn't realize they'd caused a problem. This was a test, a power play. They knew exactly what they were doing and they were betting I wouldn't do anything about it. I've dealt with people like this before, in parking lots, in tow yards, on the side of the highway at 2 a.m. People who think confidence equals immunity. Doesn't. Okay, I said quietly. Thanks for your time. Tyler looked almost disappointed that I wasn't arguing more. Yeah. No problem. I turned and walked back toward my truck, and I started planning. The first thing I did was sit in my truck and breathe, not because I was panicking. I wasn't, but because the difference between revenge and enforcement is documentation. And documentation requires a clear head. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. Every car blocking the street, every license plate I could see clearly, the white SUV angled across my driveway, the red sedan behind it, a black pickup that was partially on my lawn, a silver hatchback parked so close to my mailbox that the side mirror was touching it, timestamps on everything, wide shots of the overall scene, close-ups of the specific obstructions. I also made notes, the time I arrived home, the time I attempted to speak with Tyler, his exact words, not really my problem, and the blonde girl's response. I wrote it all down in my notes app, clear and factual. Here's what most people don't understand about towing. It's not just about hooking a car and dragging it away, especially private property impounds. There are rules, procedures, requirements that have to be met, or the whole thing gets challenged and you're suddenly the bad guy. But I know those rules. I've lived them for almost 10 years. In my state, a property owner, or in my case, a resident with documented access rights, can authorize a tow from private property if a vehicle is blocking ingress or egress. That means blocking a driveway. The tow company has to be licensed. The signage requirements for parking lots are different than residential, but obstruction of access is and if someone's vehicle is physically preventing you from entering or exiting your own property, that's grounds for an immediate impound. No warning required. I also knew something else, something that was going to make this very, very clean. The tow companies I work with, the legitimate ones with proper licensing and insurance, they don't mess around. They document, they photograph, they follow every protocol to the letter because they have to. One bad tow, one lawsuit, and they're out of business. Which meant if I called this incorrectly, it wasn't going to be my word against Tyler's. It was going to be professional tow operators, time-stamped evidence, and a clear paper trail. Now, here's where I had to think carefully. One tow truck wasn't going to solve this problem. At the time the first car got hooked up and dragged away, word would spread through the party. Everyone would scramble for keys. Half the cars would be gone before we could touch them. And the ones that remained, they'd claim they were just about to move or that they didn't know. That's not what I wanted. I wanted every single car blocking my access to face consequences. Not because I'm vindictive, though I'll admit there was some satisfaction in the planning, but because partial enforcement doesn't teach anything. It just teaches people to be faster next time. I needed multiple trucks, arriving simultaneously or close to it. a coordinated response that would be in motion before anyone could react. And I needed police presence, not to arrest anyone. This wasn't a criminal matter. But when you're towing a dozen cars from a party full of teenagers, things can escalate quickly. They might try to physically stop a tow in progress. Someone could get hurt. A police escort keeps the peace. It also makes it crystal clear that this isn't some rogue tow truck driver going vigilante. It's a lawful enforcement action with official oversight. I pulled up the non-emergency police line on my phone. Hi, I'd like to report a parking obstruction and request an officer present for safety while vehicles are being towed from my property access. The dispatcher asked for details. I gave them calmly. Address, number of vehicles, the party situation. I mentioned that I'd already attempted to resolve it verbally and been refused. An officer will be there within 30 minutes, she said. 30 minutes. That gave me time to make some calls. I scrolled through my contacts. I've worked with a lot of tow companies over the years, and when you're in the industry, you know who's reliable and who cuts corners. I called Mike first. He runs a mid-size operation on the east side, and he owed me a favor from a complicated repo job last winter. Mike, it's Dana. I've got a situation. Private property impound, multiple vehicles blocking my driveway. I need trucks, as many as you can spare. There was a brief silence on the other end, then a low whistle. How many cars we talking? At least 12 that I can see clearly blocking access. Probably more. Tonight? He laughed, not mocking, impressed. Impressing around, are you? I'm really not. Mike said he could send 3 trucks within the hour. I told him I'd have police on scene for crowd control. He said that made things easier. I made 2 more calls. Another company I've worked with and a third that specializes in quick response impounds for apartment complexes. Between them, I had commitments for 7 additional trucks, 10 tow trucks, all licensed, all insured, null insured, all following proper protocol. I sat in my truck and watched the party continue. The music was still thumping. Kids were still laughing. Tyler was still on the porch, probably telling his friends about the crazy neighbor lady who'd asked him to move some cars. They had no idea what was coming. That's private property in pounds for those unfamiliar. And tonight, I had about a dozen of them lined up. I checked my phone. Officer en route. First truck's ETA 15 minutes. I took a deep breath, leaned back in my seat, and waited for the show to begin. The first truck arrived at exactly 10:17 p.m. It was one of Mike's, a white flatbed with yellow lights rolling slow and deliberate down the cul-de-sac. The driver, a guy named Eddie I'd worked with a few times, pulled up alongside the white SUV blocking my driveway. He didn't honk, didn't announce himself, just got out, walked around the vehicle, took photos, and started setting up. For about 60 seconds, nobody at the party noticed. Then someone did. Yo, is that a tow truck? Heads turned. Conversation stopped. The music kept playing, but suddenly nobody was dancing. Eddie, completely unbothered, was already positioning the wheel lift under the SUV's front tires. It's wires. A guy came running across the lawn, early 20s, backwards cap, clearly panicked. Hey, that's my car. What are you doing? You can't just... Sir, Eddie said calmly, not stopping his work. This vehicle is obstructing private property access. It's being impounded. You'll receive information on how to retrieve it from the yard. Obstructing. I'm right here. I'll move it. Just give me... The tow is already in progress. Contact the impound yard during business hours. The guy stood there, mouth open, watching his white SUV get lifted onto the flatbed. And that's when the second truck turned the corner. The second truck went for the red sedan that had been wedged behind the SUV. A woman from another company. Professional, efficient, no wasted motion. The party was fully aware now. The music had been turned down. Not off, but enough that I could hear the buzz of confused, angry conversation spreading through the crowd. Whose car's the red one? Wait, are they towing everyone? Someone called Tyler. Tyler, for his part, had finally come off the porch. He was standing at the edge of his lawn, arms crossed, watching with an expression that was trying very hard to be unimpressed. But I could see the cracks. The third truck arrived. This one was going for the black pickup that had parked on my lawn. By now, the owner of the red sedan had appeared, a girl, maybe 19, near tears, begging the operator to stop. Please, I didn't know. I didn't see any signs. This is so unfair. The operator, patient but firm, kept working. Ma'am, blocking a residential driveway doesn't require signage. The tow was authorized by the property resident about gloating. Sitting in my truck, window down, watching calmly, I didn't wave. I didn't smirk. I just sat there because this wasn't about gloating. This was about consequence. And then the police cruiser arrived and everything changed. The officer, calm, middle-aged guy who'd clearly handled noise complaints before, parked at the end of the cul-de-sac and got out. He didn't approach the party. He just stood by his car, arms folded, watching the towing operation with professional neutrality. His presence had an immediate effect. The few kids who'd been edging toward the tow trucks, maybe thinking about intervening, suddenly found reasons to drift back toward the house. The angry shouting dropped to frustrated muttering, and the trucks kept coming. Fourth truck, a silver Honda Civic that belonged to one of the girls who'd laughed at me earlier. She actually tried to get in and drive away, but the wheel lift was already engaged. Ma'am, please step away from the vehicle. But I can step away from the vehicle. Fifth truck, a green Jeep Cherokee that some kid had parked entirely on the sidewalk, blocking pedestrian access. Sixth truck, a brand new BMW, and this one got attention because even from across the street, you could hear the argument. Do you have any idea how much this car costs? My father is going to destroy you. The operator didn't even blink. Your father can contact the impound yard. The vehicle was parked illegally. Seventh truck, eighth. Ninth, the street was transforming. What had been a chaotic maze of vehicles was becoming visible pavement again. Each car that disappeared created space, and each empty space revealed more of the absurdity of how packed it had been. And through it all, Tyler Morrison just stood there, arms still crossed, face getting progressively redder. He never approached me, never tried to apologize, negotiate, or even acknowledge that he'd caused this. He just watched his party disintegrate, one tow truck at a time. Then the parents started showing up. The first was a woman in yoga pants and a designer cardigan, jumping out of a Mercedes SUV that she'd barely put in park. She marched straight toward me. Are you the one who called these trucks? Do you have any idea what you've done? My daughter is sobbing. I met her eyes. Your daughter's car was blocking my driveway. I couldn't access my own property. So you tow it? You couldn't just knock on a door? Ask someone to move? I did ask. I was told it wasn't their problem. She opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. Toastman, Her eyes flicked to the police officer, still standing calmly by his cruiser, then to the tow operator finishing up with another vehicle, then back to me. This is outrageous. What's outrageous is coming home to find my driveway buried under 12 cars and being laughed at when I asked for help. I'm sorry your daughter is upset, but she parked illegally and actions have consequences. The woman stared at me for a long moment. Then, without another word, she turned and walked toward the impound officer to get information on retrieving her daughter's car. More parents arrived over the next hour. Some angry, some embarrassed. A few actually apologized, not for their kids parking, but for the misunderstanding. I stayed polite, stayed calm, gave the same information every time. Talked to the tow company, here's the number, the vehicle will be available for pickup tomorrow. But the best moment, the one I'll remember for years, came when Tyler's mom, Linda Morrison, finally came outside. She'd been inside the whole time, either oblivious or ignoring the chaos. When she saw the street, half empty now, tow trucks still working, police still present, her face went through about 6 emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, recognition, horror, fury, fear, and then finally a kind of exhausted resignation. She grabbed Tyler by the arm and dragged him inside. The party was officially over. The 10th and final truck finished up around midnight. By then, my driveway was clear. My lawn was clear. The street was quiet, genuinely quiet for the first time in hours. I pulled my truck into my driveway, shut off the engine, and just sat there for a moment. The police officer had stayed the whole time. Before he left, he walked over and tapped on my window. That was comprehensive, he said, with what I swear was a hint of a smile. I like to be thorough. You in the towing business, 10 years. He nodded slowly. I figured, well, you handled this right. No confrontations, no property damage, everything documented. If anyone complains, it's not going to go anywhere. That was the plan. He gave me a small wave and headed back to his cruiser. Inside the Morrison house, lights were still on. I could only imagine the conversation happening in there. Tyler, probably for the first time in his life, facing actual accountability. I didn't feel triumphant, exactly. I didn't feel like I'd won anything. What I felt was something closer to equilibrium. The scales had been tipped against me, and I tipped them back. Professionally, legally, calmly. I went inside, microwaved some leftovers, and slept better than I had in weeks. Here's what I want you to understand about this story. It would have been easy to handle this wrong. I could have screamed at Tyler. I could have called names, made threats, escalated until someone did something stupid. Or I could have just accepted it, parked in the street, told myself it was one night, let the disrespect slide because confrontation is uncomfortable. I didn't do either. What those kids did wasn't a minor inconvenience. Blocking someone's driveway isn't party overflow. It's a statement. It says, my convenience matters more than your property, your access, your safety. When I asked them to move the cars and they laughed at me, that wasn't forgetfulness. That was a choice, a deliberate choice to prioritize their fun over my basic rights as a homeowner. And here's the thing about choices. They come with consequences, not revenge, not punishment for its own sake, just consequences. I didn't damage anyone's property. I didn't threaten anyone. I didn't even raise my voice. I followed lawful procedure, the same procedure I'd use for any private property impound. I documented the obstruction. I confirmed my rights. I called licensed tow operators who follow strict protocols. I requested police presence for safety. Everything by the book. And that's the lesson I hope you take from this. You don't have to accept disrespect. You don't have to beg people to treat you fairly. And you don't have to explode into rage to make a point. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is know the rules better than the person breaking them and enforce those rules calmly, professionally, and completely. Boundaries matter. Property rights matter. And the difference between nobody got hurt and nobody is accountable matters. Those kids learned that night that actions have receipts. And maybe, just maybe, they'll think twice before blocking someone's driveway again. So that's my story. 10 tow trucks, one quiet suburban street, and a whole lot of teenagers learning an expensive lesson about entitlement. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with neighbors who treated your property like their personal parking lot? What's the worst parking violation you've ever witnessed or committed? Drop your stories in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more stories about boundaries, consequences, and what happens when people underestimate quiet competence, hit that subscribe button. I've got more where this came from. Until next time, keep your driveway clear. And remember, some people drive tow trucks for a living,